Flight school. If you want to become an airline pilot, you're doing research on different types of flight schools, and you're hearing terms like Part 61, Part 141, Restricted ATP, and it may have you feeling like,
Peter, please.
Every school is going to be claiming they have the best route and the best program and the best way for you to complete your flight training. In this video, I'm going to break down the different types of flight schools and how they work. Coming up. Hey 7-4 crew, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. My channel, 7-4 Gear, is all about aviation. So whether you're a pilot or an aviation enthusiast, consider subscribing. In this video, I'm breaking down the different types of flight schools there are. Part 61, Part 141, what a restricted ATP means, and the benefits of the two different types of schools.
Why are those my only two options?
Let's get into it. Now, before we break down each of the different types of schools, there's a couple of terms that I need to make sure you understand so we're all on the same page. Commercial pilot license. Your commercial pilot license is what allows you to fly and earn money. If you have your commercial license, you can charge for flying a plane, for photography, whatever it is. That is what allows you to earn money while you fly. ATP. Your ATP, airline transport pilot, is what allows you to be a pilot at the airlines. CFR, that's Code of Federal Regulations. Those are the rules laid out by the government that we all have to abide by. FAR, Federal Aviation Regulations. You'll hear of a book called the FAR-AIM. That's the FAR, Federal Aviation Regulations, AIM, Aeronautical Information Manual. Those are basically all the rules of which, as a pilot, you have to fly by, and that's what's gonna save you from getting in trouble. And then Part. When you hear Part 61 or Part 141, that is the section of that book which breaks down what is applicable to us as pilots. You'll hear Part 61, that's Part 61 of that extremely large book. I'll put a link to it in the description below if you ever want to go and buy it. I'll put a link to it down there. It's something you're going to have to get when you get to flight school anyways. It's basically all the rules of which you need to stay out of trouble when you're flying. Now that's cleared up, let's get into the flight schools. Here are the numbers for Part 61. If you go to a Part 61 school, you can get your commercial pilot license with 250 hours, and you qualify for your ATP with 1,500 hours. Assuming you meet all the flight requirements that are listed for getting those licenses, I'll put the section of the manual that has those regulations up here. A Part 61 school is going to be less structured, meaning you can do your flight school on the weekends, you can do your ground school with your friends or an online training program, however you want to do it, assuming you get the knowledge, however you want to go about getting it. A instructor can then sign you off saying that you've completed the ground portion. Assuming that you complete that section, you can take the written and go on with your training. The same is applicable with your flying. You're able to break it up in pieces. If you want to fly only on the weekends or at night, or you have limited time of which you can complete your flight school at, a Part 61 school is going to allow that flexibility in the speed of which you're learning and when you're able to take those lessons. So Part 61 is a lot more flexible. If you need that flexibility as you go through your flight training because work or home life are different schedules, or you feel that going through a structured program may move too fast for you, Part 61 is the variation that allows you to complete that in a more flexible manner. Part 141 is a structured program. That means it has a laid out plan from the FAA and the order of which things need to be done, which is basically the syllabus that's laid out. The schools have to follow that, and they are monitored by the FAA to make sure that people are successfully passing their training at an acceptable number. So the numbers for a 141 school are: you can get your commercial pilot license with 190 hours, and you can go to the airlines with either 1,000, 1,250, or 1,500 hours.
Say what?
It gets a little bit more complex when you get into that. If you go with 1,000 or 1,250 hours, you get what's known as a restricted ATP, which I'll explain later on in this video. To qualify for the 1,000 hours, and I'll put the regulation of which it's in that FAR-AIM book, I'll put it right up here, but it says you must complete 60 semester credit hours of aviation or aviation-related coursework, and completes flight training in a 141 program. You have universities out there that have aviation programs. Some examples would be Ohio State University, Emory-Riddle, Purdue University, Arizona State University.
We are gonna get so much ass here, it's gonna be sick. I'm talking like crazy, like boy band ass.
University of North Dakota. There's a bunch of different programs out there that have these aviation programs that are approved by the FAA. And if you do their 141 flight training program and you complete the 60 semester credit hours doing that program, you can get a restricted ATP with 1,000 hours. As long as you meet the flight requirements I listed in that CFR, which I talked about earlier, and you complete your 4-year degree there. Now, If you complete 30 hours of aviation or aviation related coursework in one of those programs and end up with your associate's degree, and you complete a 141 training program, you can get your restricted ATP with 1250 hours. So that's a restricted ATP with 1250 hours. And if you go through a 141 school and just strictly do this school and none of the additional schoolwork, you will be qualified for your ATP at 1500 hours. Essentially what that means is if at 1,000 hours you met the flight requirements, you go to the airlines and you pass your check ride, and if you watch my video on passing check rides, you should pass your check ride. When you get your license, it will say restricted ATP, and that limits you to not being a captain at the airline, which is fine. Once you hit your 1,500 hours, you fill out some paperwork, and then you're able to get your restricted ATP lifted, and you get a regular ATP just like everybody else. So to sum it up, your Part 61 schools, you're going to get your commercial license at 250 hours and your ATP at 1,500 hours. Your Part 141 schools, you'll get your commercial license at 190 hours, and you'll qualify for your ATP at either 1,000, 1,250, or 1,500 hours. And that kind of sums up the two different types of flight schools and how you qualify for each different ones. Now that I've broken down the types of flight schools, in a later video, I'm going to address how to pick the flight school that best fits for your needs. So if you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button and the bell notification. That way when I publish that video, you can see it. In the comments below, let me know, would you rather do a Part 61 school or a Part 141 school? I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.